Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us. This is Sunil Chandy. I'm here at Food for Thought. This is our Friday edition. So you see me, of course, this is our ministry out of Christchurch, Westerly. And today I'm not wearing my collar because today is Friday and it's a dress down day for me. And it's usually the day that I have as a day off. And so, but today we have one of our own committee chairs who I wanted to introduce to our online community again, and also, of course, to our various church members who are watching on this program. And that is Jason Bars. Jason has taken over the scheduling duty for our church for lay readers and lay Eucharistic ministers. And so we have a lot of folks who read for us at the various services, and of course, when we do communion in two kinds, with bread and wine, we always have a lay Eucharistic minister who helps us and at the altar, and Jason schedules that lay Eucharistic minister. This is a ministry that he has just taken over. And that was because the previous scheduler was our own Meg Frost, who did this job so ably and wonderfully. And Meg and I spoke years ago to try and mentor Jason into this position to help him to kind of have some succession planning. And what happened was it happened suddenly again with Meg's passing. But Jason has been a trooper and he's been helping us. And so Ben, would you bring Jason Bars on board? Hi, Jason.
Hello, how are you? Sunil. How are you?
Good. I didn't tell. So if you give me a one more minute, I did want to let others know about some of the things that you do. Also, you also work as a manager for international game technology. You're a 6th degree black belt in karate, and you have also a lovely wife, Sonia, and a wonderful son, Matt. And I miss seeing all of you in church. And especially, I see you more often than I see Matt and Sonia, but I miss all of you as a family, and it's been such a joy for me to know you, and I'm so glad that you have taken on this leadership position. So, what are some of the challenges that you're feeling right now? I know that there are, you were just thrown into this because even though you scheduled sometimes with us with the Palm Sunday services, and you scheduled some readers in those situations, we didn't expect you to do this so quickly. Meg and I didn't, and it was just you were kind of thrown into it. And incidentally, we also had Molly Schonenberg, who helped us in the interim as you were getting on board. So, what are some of the challenges you think are involved in this ministry?
Thanks for the kind words and the introduction. I appreciate that. We miss being in church consistently as a group. It's been nice the last few weeks to come back to church, certainly on Saturday nights, and looking forward to getting back in on Sunday and seeing everybody. So thank you for that. Challenges, there's a lot of challenges. I think, the first thing was honestly the initial shock of losing Meg. I'm a busy guy, work in the private sector. You mentioned for IGT, it's a global community where we sell and deliver casino and lottery products and solutions worldwide. So whenever the Christchurch email blast comes out on Friday, I'm usually busy at work and meetings, etc. And I happily distract myself by reading the Cornerstone. It's for me, it's a nice way to refocus in the church community, faith community, and I had seen Meg's passing and just stopped dead in my tracks, was stunned, and I picked up the phone and called you, and we spoke, and still heartfelt thought and prayer go out to the family, especially Rich. And it's tough still. I'm here in Parish Hall, and there's pictures of Meg, and her presence is still felt very heavily, and I appreciate her friendship very much over the years. So, yeah, the first challenge was just trying to deal with the loss, and then of course the time pressures, the schedule. There's just not enough time in the day. Everybody's busy, running fast. So what I try to do is take an old adage I learned in some corporate development training about a decade ago. We had a great adjunct professor, psychologist come in for a year to train us in leadership development. And he said to us during one of the first classes, strategically, you need to slow down to speed up. Boom, right away, hand goes up. I'm like, what are you talking about? It just stunned me dead in my tracks. And I have to admit, at first, I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid. I didn't really understand or maybe want to absorb what he was saying, but it was a lot of truth in it. And I come to really practice that approach, which is, sometimes you have to stop what you're doing. You have to just sit still. You may even need to pray or meditate, and you need to identify, what's important.
Right. I love that. I love that. I think it's a beautiful thought. It's a, slow down to speed up. I mean, slow down, take in the world, take in what, understand the problems and the challenges in order to meet them, right?
Right.
Instead of just jumping into it and just trying to react to everything,
Right.
It's
Right.
beautiful. Love it.
We had a great educational family. I come from a family of educators. My father was a principal, my mom teacher, my sister's a superintendent,
Yeah.
and education was always first and foremost in our family's life, including faith. And I remember there was a teacher, I think in middle school, and he talked about glass mason jar and the rocks, the sand, and the pebbles, and you can't fit all of it in.
Yeah.
If you do it a certain way in a certain order. So you got to put the big rocks in first. He's trying to talk about prioritization. That always stuck with me. And all those years later, as an adult in that corporate leadership training, it was interesting. It's a different approach to strategic planning, but essentially it's the same thing. You need to prioritize what are the most important things that you need to focus on. In my life, it's always been faith first, family. I can count on one hand, faith, family, friends, training, my martial arts training, and then career or education at the time going through school. And I try to focus on those 5 key areas, and the rest may fall where it does. Otherwise, the big stuff, you're not focusing on the right areas.
Yes, it's beautiful. I love that. And, it reminds me, one of the things that, uh, about Meg, I just wanted to, when you mentioned strategically doing things, and that was one thing about her too. I remember, because she was not paraplegic, but she had some issues walking, and it was really very hard for her to walk. What she would do was she would always think out strategically where she needed to be, what she needed to get done, and how she needed to get it done, and always kind of thinking what is the most important things to get done in order for me to get from here to there. So, I mean, it was interesting because, and I learned so much from her in this. She would, you know, and part of the reason was she wanted to make it as normal as possible for everyone else.
Hmm.
She didn't want her handicap to make, or her challenge to make it hard for anyone else. And so what she would do is she would think about the next day's meeting and she would say, okay, Sunil, can you do me a favor? Can you put this pad next to that door? Because I'm coming here tomorrow morning and I'm going to need that pad to get into, to do what I needed to do. And it was just beautiful. And so this idea about prioritizing, thinking, stopping, thinking about what needed to be done, prioritizing, and then seeing how to get it done. Let me ask you a question back to you about this particular job. What do you think might be the priorities, the top priorities for it?
In the new ministry, I
Yeah,
think honestly, it's just listening and the getting to know people. I would say those are the top two. And it's been nice. I've been able to connect with some folks via phone call or text or email, some in person in church, and everybody's been very, warm and welcoming. And I just look forward to meeting everybody, in person at church when we can.
yeah. I think that's beautiful because I think that's it. And priority number one is the relationship, right? It's always the relationship. It's like, and I'll tell you, you know, we have a lot of people who sometimes feel anxious.
Sure.
They're nervous about reading out loud. It's kind of like public speaking. That's one of the most frightening experiences for many people, right? And it's up there. It's up there, like just up there in terms of terrors that people have. But people are anxious about reading out loud, making a mistake, making sure that they've got everything right. So there's a great deal of anxiety, and so I love what you just said. It's about the relationship. It's about listening to these folks and trying to figure out how to make how to make it easy for them to do their ministry. It's
Right.
beautiful.
Right. I have a great story about public speaking. So you mentioned the nervousness, the anxiety. I
Yeah.
got that taken care of, beaten out of me, so to speak, when I was probably about 5 years old. Catholic upbringing, and come to find out for Holy Communion, May crowning, I think we called it at the time. The young kids from the catechism class were going to read. And
Yeah.
so they told us this, the nuns, and they expected us to volunteer. Of course, no one volunteered. So the news flyer comes out, that goes home, and of course my mother says, "Well, you're absolutely volunteering." I said, "Oh, okay, that's great." And I had no idea what it meant. And so the next catechism class, I think a Wednesday afternoon or something, we marched down to the church, and my mom was there, Sister Mary Concepta, God rest her soul. It was pretty great because they stood us up at the lectern, which we called it, and you practice reading aloud. And they just, erased any of the mistakes you could ever have for public speaking. Stand up straight, project your voice through the room, no yelling, make good eye contact, all of that. So, any nervousness that I had was broken as a kindergartner.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so you'll bring that same type of gentleness and care and that's who you are, because that's how I experience you. You're a gentle guide, and you have a wonderful spiritual quality about you, Jason.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank
and
you.
so with our parishioners, and I think there might be about 20 of those folks who are on that list now, right? Lay readers. Yeah, about and they're all wanting to do something for God, and this is such an important ministry. And you're helping us. You're helping them contribute to the world in a wonderful way.
It's nice. It helps everybody stay connected and a sense of belonging and contributing and serving all in the same way, which is really nice. And, I think people are longing for that spiritual, faith-based community connection again, especially, we're still in a pandemic and for the most part, quarantine and social distancing. So I
Yeah.
think people are yearning for it now more than ever. We've been in it, 6 months now, and it'll probably continue to some extent for the next 6 to 18 months. So any type of contribution I think that we can make as a group, I think is helpful for people to feel, positive.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, you speak about the global challenge that we're having. One of the things I know that you're a very busy manager. in your firm, and I know that also prior to this, you used to travel all over the world. I mean, one time I hear you in London, then Italy, and Rome, then all over the place, and you have clients throughout the world, and sometimes and in our conversations, you told me that sometimes you're in conversations with people in China and maybe India, or just, and the time zones are different, so their morning is our night, and so you're all over in terms of work schedule. How does this global challenge affected your work world, especially your company? How do they do stuff now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned the global capacity and the challenges of the various time zones. Um, Honestly, it boils down to this: what we're doing here, face to face, and you just need to encourage that more so you can collaborate. A lot gets lost when you're on the phone or through an email or a text. It's not the same. We had a staff meeting today. We had two folks from London, actually three from London, and one from Canada, and we turned a video on. And most people are not familiar or comfortable with it, even though we've been doing more of it for 6 months. There's still a hesitancy to
Yeah,
engage in that way, for whatever reasons. Oh, I'm dressed down today. I just don't feel like looking at you. Whatever it is. But you need to break through those barriers, to be honest with you, in order to connect in a
yeah,
meaningful way. So we did it this morning as a staff team. I'm a senior director at the company in technology services. So we provide digital lottery products, services, and solutions for North America and Canada, as well as sports betting. So, the old adage, in a New York minute. I mean, it's like that. The pace is, let's say, rapid on a good day, and excessive on a normal day, to be honest and fair. We have folks working in hubs in India, London, Poland, Warsaw, Chennai, Canada, and then all over the United States. So sometimes you just try to figure out what's the person's name, what time zone are they in, are they awake? Even if it's midnight their time, what's the propensity of that individual for engaging in work? Will they do it? Is it a no way? So, you really have to know your audience, whether they're, folks that work for you directly or indirectly. It doesn't really matter. We all need to try and come together to support each other to, sustain and grow. In our case, the business in a church or a faith-based sense, it's similar in that we have to come together to collaborate.
yeah.
We have to interact in a faith-based way. And what's the goal? In business, it may be to grow or sustain it at a profit and loss level. In a faith-based situation, it's to
It's
come
great,
together in prayer and worship and fellowship
and to build a better world, right? Build a
to build
better
a better
world.
world. So the goals might be different, but the tools are the same.
Yeah, I love it, and so it's interesting that it's about relationship again. You
It
know,
is.
it
It
is.
is.
It's about, and that's the other thing about the church work, right? I mean, church work is actually volunteer work for many of us, right? But it actually, except for people like me who, get this is our profession. But the one thing about church work is that, when you do this type of volunteer work, it actually helps not only create a better world, but it actually, you could learn the skills, you could hone the skills here in this place that you could take to other workplaces. I mean, uh, about 10 years ago, I read a Wall Street Journal article and the importance of volunteer work and how it helps us to be able to listen and build up skills that allow us to deal with people on all different levels.
Sure.
And then those skills are then translatable to
Right.
the work world.
Right. And I think that's interesting. You mentioned people at all different levels. It could be north and south or east and west. It's a whole ecosystem. You're not going to have all the answers in a technical program like at work. There's folks that are subject matter experts. You got to reach out and figure out, what do you know? How do you extract it? Because
Yeah.
you may need something to explain to CEO, chief operating officer, in a church faith-based community. you may not have all the subject matter expertise. So I picked up the phone and I had a great conversation with Deacon Ann about 10 days ago about how to finish a prayer and why and what was the rubric behind it. And it was nice just to talk with her, chat and catch up. And then I got the expert information. And so, sometimes it's not necessarily having all the answers, but knowing, where to go and find it.
You know what? It's you point to another wonderful insight that I love about the church, and that is that it is, Jesus relies not on the wonderfully talented individual. Rather, Jesus relies or calls us to rely on the genius of the group. The genius of the group, because sometimes whatever challenge we may have, it's not about how brilliant the leader is. It's about how well the group works so that we could meet the challenge of the moment.
Right. And in order to do that at an optimal level and to be efficient, I think each person, really needs to look inside themselves and to trying to find that humility so you can engage in a healthy and collaborative manner.
Yeah, that's it. That's beautiful. Yeah.
I would say that, in my martial arts training in almost 30 years, that's probably the number one insight I've learned about myself and others is in Korean, the word is kyomsung, and it's humility. And, how can you be humble in many instances, maybe not every instance, but in many ways to step back and say, what can I learn from this person or this situation and experience in order to grow from it and to learn from it? Not necessarily looking at things as problems or solutions, opportunities or challenges, but learning. And how do you learn from it to optimize yourself, mentally, spiritually, physically, and others? And can you share it in a way of healing?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think this is beautiful. I mean, and this is what the COVID-19 is teaching us too. There's like a humility that's required of us.
Right. You're no longer able to run around and gather in large crowds or go out, whether it's eating out or whatever it is. I was just speaking with Jackie, and we both mentioned that we may not go back to the same way we used to live, where we're so time pressured and running around. You're able to focus different and better, and you're able to maybe make more individual time, specific time, in order to engage in the community instead of letting that happen naturally. Now we have to really strive for it.
Right. And also the thing is, it's an uncomfortable situation for many people.
Yes.
They're dealing with this type of new technology, but like our own parishioners, people who are over 65, I've been so inspired by them because this crisis has caused them to deal with the technology, and they're kind of like people who are children who are like learning a new skill, and they're learning it really well.
Right. Even us just setting up for our conversation. I learned a couple new tricks. Technically, I hadn't seen before. Thank you, Ben and Jackie.
Oh my God! That's what I rely on the genius of people like Jackie and Ben.
Right. Really great people. And thank you to them. It's been wonderful to work with them behind the scenes in different projects, and it's nice just to get to know them. Over the past few months, and I'm sure it's just going to grow from there.
Yeah, and then there are also so many other brilliant people in our church too, really good people that just like you, Jason, who are just trying to make a difference. They're trying to do good in the world, and I'm so glad that I'm so grateful to God for all of us, for all of us, and also the people that are connecting to us through the medium now.
Right. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. So let me ask you another quick question. How is Sonia and Matt doing, especially as Matt is going back to school, probably 2 days a week? Is it 2 days and then 3 days off and 3 days online work?
Right. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. Sonia's back in the office 4 days and then work from home on Friday. So on Fridays, all three of us are home in different rooms. So it took time. There were some challenges, somebody's in a meeting, or in Sonia's case, she's on, telemedicine. So she's engaging with patients. And Matt's in a school lecture, and it's, the dogs are running around barking, and, you just have to laugh and you learn. I took a couple meetings today outside on the deck because the dogs are a little bit more calm out there, or maybe out in the yard. And it's a nice break. You get some fresh air and sunshine. I think Matt's adapted well. I think Sonia's adapted well. For me, I think it was harder for me personally. Your Food for Thought show was big for me when it first started. I mean, I was tuning in every day. I made that a priority to give myself a break, because I felt like as soon as I woke up, I was working for 9 hours straight with no break, because the technology's right there. Instead of, if you were in the office or a normal work environment, you'd have lunch, you would talk to people, you might get a cup of tea or coffee, and there was, some rhythm to it. With working from home, if you're inclined, you could sit there and work the whole time, and it can wear you out. So
Yeah.
I had to be a little more disciplined, and to, even if it's a 1 minute break, go outside and throw the ball to the dog, or go outside and quietly, meditate or say a prayer, anything to sort of, re-energize, to get back into the daily grind.
Jason, I'm just so grateful for you. You're a good man.
Thank you, Father Sunil. It's great to be here, and so glad that we found Christ Church all those years ago.
Yeah, definitely. Let me ask you a quick question. You've given us really wonderful nuggets of wisdom in between. Any passing thought you'd like to share?
Just thankful for everybody at Christ Church. It's a wonderful community. Great people who have helped me grow. Seth Tolman, Meg Roy, Tom Cortella, the Cortella family, of course,
Oh,
Kim
yeah.
Will, Natalie Pukas, Sandy Thieball. Lots of folks. I'm sure I'm leaving folks out. Deacon Ann, Father Eric, yourself. There's a lot of great people here that provide a lot of care, instruction, guidance, and really faith-based inspiration.
God bless you, my friend.
Bless
Oh,
you.
thank you for being with us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Jason Bars, another wonderful member of our congregation, and a joy to be with. We're now almost done with our program, and as is our tradition, we're going to end our time in prayer. And this is a prayer written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine, and we've adjusted it. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fears, which prevent nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors and caregivers, teachers and students, parents and children. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Spread the light of Christ. The world needs it right now.